let's do new project. Get that out of the way. And let's just call it tonight exercises April 3rd. I'm just going to put 4/3/23 and save that in your exercise folder. There's my exercise folder. And then just hit create. All right. And for starters, you're going to need like at least a couple of still image clips. And go ahead and grab them from, remember that project 3 exercise we did called Watanabe? And it had all the landscapes and stuff and the beaches. Grab any 2 clips from that you want and import them. If you want to import the whole folder, that's fine. You just need to have a couple of clips. So find wherever you put that and bring that in. Let me see. Stills 1920. Are these all actually 1920? Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to bring in a couple here. Let's see, can I actually see? No, I can't see icons. Mountain Valley, that sounds good. Lake Dock. Sunrise Beach. Sure, why not? Let's do that. I'm just grabbing 2 here. All right. Any 2 that you want. So I got a little sunrise and I got a little mountain valley. Very pretty. Okay, great. We'll start with that. Okay. And after you bring in those 2 pics, create a bin in here. We're going to keep everything organized. Okay, we're going to right click and do new bin. Yeah, I'll give you a minute to find those pictures. And what we're going to work with here is what's called a track mat key. Okay. These are mat as in MATTE, which is used a lot in compositing. It falls under what's known as keying. It's basically where you identify an area of one image and then you replace it with something. It's in the ballpark of what we did with the birds that we made fly over that landscape when we did the color key. Okay. What we did there is we identified the white and we deleted it with the color key, and that allowed us to take advantage of that alpha, and so that we can superimpose the bird over the background. What we're going to do here is identify, we're going to first do it with text, and then we're going to do it with a shape, and we're going to identify a section of the screen, you know, in the first case text, and we're going to replace the color of the text with something else by applying this mat. Okay, so bring in your 2 pictures. Once you have those, if you want to bring 3 or 4, and then you can decide later, that's fine, whatever it is. It doesn't have to take long. This will be complicated. Let's create a bin, right? So I'm right clicking, new bin. Call this track mat key. So we'll organize everything in one folder because we're going to create a sequence in the whole bit. All right. So click on these guys and drag them in there. Right. So when you collapse it, it's nice and neat. Okay. I would recommend double clicking on it. Okay. And that way you're inside only that folder right now for a minute. If not, that's fine. You can stay in that same spot. Okay, so we've got the 2 pictures, we've got the track mat key. We're going to create a title with the essential graphics panel, and then we're going to go into effects. So make sure you have this panel available, the effects panel, and we're going to go into video effects. All right, so I want to make sure everybody's set up. So if you don't have the essential graphics panel, so we can do a title, you can just go ahead and add it. If you have a workspace already dedicated, go to that. I'm just going to go ahead and add it here on Window, right? main menu window, and I just click and it just kind of adds it to the right, which is pretty simple. And then when I'm done, I can always close it out. All right, so we're going to create, first off, let's do this. Let's go ahead and drop one of these pictures in the timeline. I'm going to take my sunrise. No, I'm going to take my Mountain Valley pic. So just drop that in the timeline. It's going to figure out your settings, right? Like we know. I'm going to expand that track. We're not going to use music audio on this right now. So let me bring this down. So I got a little more room. Okay, so I can at least see 3 layers. So there's my 3 tracks. All right, do a quick save. All right. And now that you dropped it in there, it's going to give you a name for the sequence. Let's just rename that. Click here and just call that track mat key. Track MATTE key. So that way everything's associated. We name the sequence. All right, and then let's go create a basic title. Okay, edit. Right, click on this little new layer item and just hit text. Okay, and there's your text box. I'm gonna drag it out a little bit, make it a little bigger, and let's write The Big Show. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and expand that a little bigger, and then find a font that is nice and blocky, like kind of thick. I'm going to go with, if I can pull this back out. Come on. Okay. And I'm going to pull this down a little bit here. I'm going to make this a little taller, so I'm going to distort it. I'm going to click on here to sort of unlink my scaling so it's not uniform, so I can click and pull it down, make it kind of bigger like this. Right? I want big text here. I want it to almost fill the frame. Okay. So I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to select, I'm currently in Tahoma, but in Tahoma, right? And if you're not there, if you're on something else, you can find it, right? I believe you can also search for it. So for example, if I was in Ariel, right, there's Ariel, right? And if I hit Tahoma, I can go to that too. It actually didn't change it that much. There we go. All right, I'm going to go. So I would recommend going with a Tahoma and bold it down here. There you go. So just find something that gives you a sort of a thick, blocky font. I'm going to pull that out some more. Just going to keep it inside the title safe, right? I'm going to click away. Nope, don't do that. Take that back. All right. So now, all we're going to do is we're going to go to Effects, and we're going to go down to Video Effects. I'm going to scroll down to that folder that says Keying, right? Which is where we had. If you expand that, right, you'll remember, you'll see the color key, right? That's what we used with those birds when we did the clip art, right? As a simple example where you can cut out the background and then, isolate that layer, right? And now we're going to go to here, though. We're going to go to this, what's called the track mat key. All right. So this is an effect that we're going to actually apply not on our title, but on the layer that's below it. This, whatever image you have. In my case, the mountain shot. Let me magnify that a little more, right? So you're going to grab that and apply it to that picture that you have, hopefully right now on video 1, right? Right, and this is in Video Effects. Expand that keying, and it's the track mat key. You could also search it out up here if you do track mat key. If you just do track mat, it pretty much finds it right there. See? So you can always do it that way. You can always search for it up here. Okay. All right, so now you've applied it to your picture. So select that picture in your timeline so it's active. Oh, and I want to make sure everybody knows you want to have your effect controls handy, right? Click on that, right, which shows you all your keyframes and all that stuff that you can manipulate, right? But you can also see the video effect here, right? So these are your fixed effects, right? Your motion, expand that, position, scale, all that good stuff. But now you've added the track map. Okay, so you should see that when you're on your picture. And what you're going to do here is we're going to use this in a simple way. We're going to tell this layer to shoot through the white of the letters. So the fill or the color for your text is actually going to be this picture. Okay, so we've applied the effect on there, but first we have to tell it what to do. We're going to tell it matte, none. No, we want to say apply this on video 3. Okay, and then you want to turn this on. And you want to change this over here to Luma. Hang on, well, it didn't do it. That's interesting. Hang on a second. What happened? What happened? What happened? Something didn't go right. Oh, I selected the wrong layer. My bad. I said 3. There's nothing on 3. Video 2. I'm sorry. There you go. And actually, I don't know if this matters. Yes, we can keep that on alpha. Okay, so my bad. My picture is on 1. My title is on 2, right? Right. So I applied the effect on 1, and I said, I want you to go ahead and seek out that text on 2 and replace it with this. So it's identifying pixels and it's replacing them with something else, and you decide what it is that you want to replace them with. Okay, that's a video editor's definition. You got a graphic artist, they'll give you a much fancier explanation. Okay, and so now the black is actually alpha as well. Okay, so get that to work, right? Apply the track map to the video, to the and you could do this with video too. Motion video, actual video shot, you shoot it with a camera, whatever, right? Colors, whatever you want. It can be anything. I'm just using a still image just to keep it simple. Okay. All right. And now you can still go in and access your keyframes here and do whatever you want, right? If you want to scale this up, right? You can come from here, scale it up. You can do whatever you want. Position, right? You could have it come in from the side, so you could, bring up black and just have your title slide in and, whatever you want it to do. So all this stuff still applies. Okay. You can kind of do the Stranger Things, our cheap version of Stranger Things. If you ever watched that show, if I keep magnifying this, right? I'm going to like at 4,000 here. I might have to reposition this a little bit. There we go. Right? So I could put a keyframe there, and I'm kind of goofing around now, and then bring it back down to like 100. Right? I might have to reposition it over there. There you go. So you could do something like that. There you go. And the title comes in and reveals, right? So there you go. There's your little super quick Stranger Things technique. Okay, you could slow that down. Anyway, so you can do all of that. Okay, all of that's allowed. Okay, motion, rotation, whatever you want to do. All right. So now you could also, let's say, well, okay, I like that, but I want a background behind it. No problem. We're going to shift everything up, right, by 1 layer. So track 1 will become track 2. Track 2 will become track 3. Right? So try that. Right? I'm going to push both of these up, but here's what's going to happen. We lose the effect, right? We can kind of see what's happening here, but we lose the effect because now, right, that track mat is looking for something on 2, but the actual layer's on 2 with the effect. Okay, so we want to go back and reset this now and say it only gives you 3, right? So there it is. So you sell it now. Okay, we moved it up. So now you need to go and grab that title on 3. Okay. And so now you could put another layer below it just for fun. So I'm going to put my sunrise. And so now when it comes down, right, it's going to reveal my title, and my title is still has the background behind it, but I'm over a background. Again, maybe not the most best aesthetic decision there, but I can combine those layers. Okay. So play around with that. So let's say, okay, well, you know what? I want to create a little separation here, maybe, because it's the background's in focus. So you know what? Throw a blur on there, right? Go back into effects, video effects, and go into blur and sharpen and throw a Gaussian on that sunrise or on that bottom layer. Stick it on there, right? And so as it comes in, let's say as it's moving in here, yeah, sure, throw a keyframe on there, right? And by the time that lands, you know, you could have that background thrown out. Move those keyframes apart. So you can play with this thing a little bit. Okay, maybe start blurring it back here. So now here comes your title. So you've got a motion effect. So this can be a fun way to do your titles, right? This is gonna be a fun way, a fun technique. If you want to extend that a little bit, have that sit, just trim it out, because this is all synthetic media, right? This is all just stills. There's no end to it, right? So there, as it sits, etc. You can transition out of that, do something else. All right, so there's a combination of effects using a track mat key, and then you threw in a blur to give you a little bit of a different feel.